Hello everybody, this is Yvonne with Back to Earth Creations, and today I'm going to teach you how to make these little um, wire-wrapped starflower pendants, or charms, or whatever you want to make them into. And here we have some different examples of, these I made with 10mm tiger's eye, garnet, and amazonite, and then this one here I made with just freshwater pearls in different sizes, and I really liked how that one came out. But today I'm going to be using 12mm round Botswana agate, and you just need 5 beads to start. You can use any size that you want, but it's kind of easier to demonstrate with large beads. And then as far as tools go, I recommend using a 22 gauge wire. You'll need wire snips, round nose pliers, some mandrels, or a pen, or a chopstick, or whatever way you want to use for making the bail. And then I like to use, I'm particularly fond of bent nose pliers. And but you could use just a chain nose or needle nose, whatever you want to call them, or anything like that, just to help you kind of get a grip on the wire. Now, I prefer to work off the spool, which is I don't cut the wire that I'm going to use off the spool until I'm like done. But you can do it however you want. But you'll need probably about a foot of wire. Like, you don't want to cut yourself short. Now would be better. Okay, so you have all 5 of them on there. And then at this point, I'm taking my thicker mandrel. I don't exactly know the dimensions off the top of my head. But for this, you could use a marker or just anything round. And try to keep the beads pinned together so that you can avoid having like a right angle, bend in between the beads. You want to keep them nice and round so that your finished product is nice and round. And just kind of form them around on the mandrel, and then bring the ends together just a little bit more. And then I bend the loose end, the end that isn't attached to the mandrel. I bend it up. And this isn't really like a technically precise, piece. You can do it however clean or, rather than use the term messy, I'll say organic as you would like. Just to, it's however you want. So, you could have used flat nose pliers to have bent that up. But then you'll start by crossing it in the front. Because something that I want to point out real quick, sorry, I don't mean to get sidetracked, but on these star flowers, there's a complete star pattern on the front and on the back. I've seen some where it's only a complete star if you're looking at it from dead on, because there's like 3 in the front and a couple more in the back. But this way, it doesn't matter if it flips around or if you wear it on a charm bracelet or an earring, there's a complete star on each side. And so you just bring it across in the front and then flip it. You're closing off 2 on the bottom, and then you flip it over and you close off 2 on the top. See those 2? And then you flip it over and you close off the 2 on the bottom, and you flip it over and you close off the 2 on the top. And then you flip it around and see that one captured 2 on the top. So now you flip it around and do 2 on the bottom. Sorry, I don't need for my hand to be in the way. And you flip it around and capture 2 on the top. And then you flip it around and capture 2 on the bottom. And you can really see here how the star is starting to take form. And then you flip it around and capture 2 on the top. Now this side has a complete star. Hooray! And then you flip it around and do 2 on the bottom. And now from here, I kind of use my fingernail to kind of just wrap it, like doing a wrapped loop around the top, just a couple of times. You want these to be really nice and secure. I mean, what's the point in making something if it's just going to fall apart? And then wire snips come in. These are flush cutters that my friend gave me because I was working with these wire snips for a long time that I'd actually gotten in the floral section years before starting at, making jewelry, but I like flush cutters way better. And then you give it a nice snip, and then it's at this point that I use my bent nose pliers, or you could use whatever you want, just kind of smush down that tail of the wire, because you don't want, pokey bits. You can kind of check, and it's not pokey, so that's good. And then I'm taking my mandrel, and this is my larger one, and I used the third gradation in because that'll fit pretty much over any clasp on whatever you decide you're going to wear this on, and also it'll fit on omega chains. And you can do it. I'd recommend at least twice, so it's nice and stable. But I like to do it. Well, I only have enough wire for twice this time, but you can do it 3 times. Like you can see it's blurry, but there's three little prongs there. But this one's just going to have 2, and so you wrap it around, and you can see the tail coming out the back there. And then you just kind of bend that tail wire around a couple of times, nice and tight. And now at this point, just depending on whatever you want, you could take your round nose pliers and make a little spiral for at the top of the star. I usually, though, just cut it off, but I kind of like that idea of doing a spiral, so we're going to do that real quick. So now we have a Botswana agate 12mm round bead star flower that my camera refuses to focus on. Hello, it's right here. There we go. And hopefully this tutorial has helped in some way or form on your quest to make a star flower.